Okay, all of you. Today, in this video, we are going to see an introductory video on financial analysis of banks and reporting. This subject is offered to BBA FinTech and banking students in the second semester. The entire content of the video will give you a brief analysis on what is the course outcome, what is the course objective, and the contents that are related to the course that will be dealt in this entire semester. Moving on, we will now see what is the course objective on why students are studying this particular subject. The first and foremost important course objective is to analyze and interpret the financial statements of a bank using ratios, trend, and cash flow analysis. When you say financial statements, we have various financial statements to prove the profitability, liquidity, and solvency position of an organization, including balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flow statements, fund flow statements, etc. Now, this particular subject will help you in analyzing and also interpreting the financial statements that are used by various banking companies with the help of ratios and also with the help of trend analysis and with the help of cash flow analysis in order to prove what is the profitability, liquidity, and solvency of a particular bank and corporate organizations. The second important objective of this course is to evaluate the implications of financial reporting practices, including integrated and sustainability reporting in global banking environment. Now, when you say banking, it is an industry that is not only common to the Indian scenario, but also is an industry that is rapidly growing across the globe. Therefore, in this course, we will also be learning about the sustainable practices that each and every major banks follow across the globe, and also some of the implications that they do in case of financial reporting practices. We will also be learning on the ESG reporting, which is called as environment, sustainability, and governance reporting, which helps the banking industry to maintain their sustainability in the environment. Moving down, we will now narrow down to the course content on what we are going to study in this particular subject. The first unit of the subject talks about Introduction to Financial Analysis and Reporting, wherein we get to know the basic foundations that are required in order to study the particular subject of financial analysis and reporting of banks, wherein we will try and understand what do you mean by financial reporting, what are the objectives of financial reporting, why is financial reporting important, and where all you can extend the horizon of financial reporting covering in scope. Along with this, when I say financial statements, since we are looking into the global concept, we will also be studying about IFRS standards that are practically implemented by majority of the companies and banking sectors across the globe. With that, we will also be covering the components of financial statements, which talks about the balance sheet, the P&L account, and the cash flow and fund flow statements that are necessary for every organization in order to understand what they are doing in their financial horizon. And also, we will understand on who are the users of financial reports, for whom these financial reports useful, or whose purpose does these financial reports serve, is what we're going to see. And also some of the ethical practices that organizations follow or must follow in order to prepare their financial reports. At the end of the unit, we will also be looking into the comparison of GAAP standards and IFRS standards, because when we say GAAP standards or concept is applicable only for the Indian scenario, where IFRS standards are to be followed by international organizations that work across the globe. So what is the difference between these GAAP standards and IFRS standards in the accounting procedures and analysis is what we will be looking into at the end of the first unit. Moving down to the second unit, we will be learning about financial statement analysis. As I told you earlier, financial statement comprises of various statements like balance sheets, your P&L, your cash flow statements, fund flow statements. Now, these become the financial statements that help in analyzing a company's liquidity, profitability, and solvency. So, in order to do an analysis of these financial statements, we will be using various tools like ratios. We will also use trend analysis. We will do a common size balance sheet and also a comparative statement analysis, and then try to interpret the results of these analysis on how the management or the top level executives try to interpret these financial statements for their strategic performance in their company's future performance is what we will be seeing. At the end of the second unit, we will also be learning on what is dew point analysis and how is it helpful for every company in order to do a dew point analysis, and what are the implications of doing the dew point analysis. Moving on to unit number 3, talks about ratio analysis. As I've already told you, we talk about 3 types of ratios here, which is liquidity ratio, profitability ratio, and solvency ratio. Are the 3 major important ratios that help in analyzing the financial position of an organization. But apart from these ratios, we will also be covering on activity ratio, market value ratio, benchmarks, and how do you interpret these ratios and what is the application of these ratio analysis in a particular industry is what we will be covering in unit number 3. Unit number 4, which is the last unit of the subject, it talks about cash, fund flow analysis, and financial reporting. So here we will be learning on what is cash flow statement, the structure of cash flow statement, how do you analyze a cash flow statement, followed by the fund flow statement, what is the concept of fund flow statement, how do we prepare a fund flow statement, and most importantly, how do we interpret the cash flow and fund flow statements in case of financial reporting, which helps the company in order to improvise their principles, practices, and sustainability is what we will be saying. And also at the end of the unit, we will also be learning on forensic reporting and how is it necessary in today's environment in order to maintain financial reporting standards is what we will be learning at the end of unit number 4. Now, at the end of this particular course, these are the course outcomes that we expect the students to attain or achieve. First and foremost, we expect you to identify what are the core components and the regulatory framework that is applicable for governing financial reporting and analysis in the banking sector. Secondly, we hopefully ask you to differentiate between various financial analysis techniques. So, for example, we have learned about various techniques like trend analysis, common size balance sheet, comparative balance sheet, ratios, etc. So here, as an outcome of this course, we are trying to make you aware of what is the differentiation between these types of various financial analytic techniques that are to be followed, which helps a particular bank to identify its liquidity position, profitability position, and solvency position. Thirdly, we expect you to analyze the real-world financial statements of bank using appropriate techniques to assess the risk potential of a particular bank, for which we will be using a lot of case studies and also the real financial statements that are published in the newspapers or in the websites of different banks, which make you to analyze what is the actual position and the risk profile of a particular bank when it comes to a public sector bank or a private sector bank in that case. And at last, we help you to formulate a comprehensive and ethical and evidence-based diagnostic report on a bank's financial health and emerging trends in sustainability and integrated reporting. As we know that we are moving forward globally, it is very important that we follow ethical and sustainable practices in whatever we do. Therefore, in this end of the module, we will also be learning about ESG financial reporting, which talks about environment, sustainability, and governance reporting, which helps every bank to follow their ethical standards and practices, which help them to maintain their sustainability in the competitive environment. So these are the 4 outcomes that we expect a student to achieve at the end of completing this particular subject. Thank you all. Meet you in the next video.